Hello, everyone.
Oh, I was chewing the hangnail off my thumb. That probably sounded great on my microphone.
Didn't hear it.
Good, but now you know.
Welcome to Super Breakfast Friends Club.
The show where we loudly chew on our body parts and you have to listen.
No, that costs extra. You're thinking of our other show, Super ASMR Friends Club.
Oh, that's right. I get them confused.
Let's play the opening to a show.
僕らは何に夢見てどこへ向かうべきなのか裏切りや駆け引きの中手にした勝利にどれほど価値があるのか太陽は断ち切れる宇宙を抱えても未来照らし続ける強く儚きものよこの手を引き導いて真実と呼べる場所であるなら戸惑い傷ついてもこの視線の向こうまだ答えは見えない Searching for
Mel.
What?
Have you ever heard of F-Zero?
Never in my life. Who's that?
It's a man, but mostly it's a machine.
The Terminator?
And even more than that, it's neither of those things. It's a video game.
Okay. That's kind of a machine.
It was released in 1990 as a launch title for the Super Nintendo.
It was a launch title?
It was. In fact, in Japan, it was one of only 2 launch titles. If you bought a Super Nintendo on release day in Japan with a game, that game had to have been either Super Mario World or F-Zero, because they were the only games.
I mean, they're good games to be the only ones.
They are good. I actually didn't realize F-Zero was so early in the Super Nintendo's life, because it's really good.
Because it's bananas?
Yeah, it feels like a later game to me. It was made by Nintendo EAD. I forget what EAD stands for. I should probably have written that down.
Good. This is the professionalism we strive for. Nintendo Entertainment Analysis and Development.
Now I'm going to cut the episode so that it sounds like you just knew that and just dropped that knowledge bomb on me. After I said I didn't write it down.
It did. I'm big brain. I have big brain.
Okay. Well, I'm going to cut the 3 minutes that we spent looking it up and yelling at each other.
But that's what the people are paying for.
Nintendo EAD made Mario, Zelda, Star Fox, Pikmin, and Animal Crossing.
I've heard of one of those.
They are basically the main Nintendo studio where all the best things happen.
Where dreams are made.
Yeah. F-Zero was created by Shigeru Miyamoto, who you've heard of, I'm sure.
I've heard his name whispered in dark circles.
Yes, creator of Mario, Zelda, and Pikmin. Many other things as well, but this is one of the ones he doesn't... This F-Zero is a game that doesn't really come up very often as something that Miyamoto came up with, but I think that's because he doesn't really care about it.
That's unfortunate. Maybe it just has too much plot and it scares him.
He doesn't like plot very much, yeah. I feel like F-Zero, though, is an idea that he kind of came up with From what I can tell, he came up with the idea, but then he handed it off to somebody else to actually make because he was busy with Super Mario World at the same time. So
What was the idea he pitched? So it's cars, but in the future.
I guess it's cars but faster.
You know that game Mario Kart? Or
This-
I guess that hadn't come out
Yeah,
yet.
this is pre-Mario Kart.
Wow. So he just immediately forgot about F-Zero and was like, what if cars, but Mario also?
I wonder. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe Mario Kart was the actual, like, better realization of his idea.
Mario Kart is the true successor to the F-Zero throne.
Because Miyamoto, it's very rare that Miyamoto comes up with the story of his ideas. He usually hires somebody else to handle that. And in this case, it was Tayaka Imamura who designed all the characters and vehicles.
Cool.
He apparently was very surprised with how much freedom he had with it because it was the first game he'd ever worked on.
But Miyamoto didn't give a shit. He's like, here's the car game, just make it.
Basically, yeah. But he went on to design most of the bosses in A Link to the Past. He designed all the characters for Star Fox. He was the writer and art director for Star Fox 64, F-Zero X, and Majora's Mask.
I don't know about the F-Zero game. I haven't played it. But the other two of my favorites.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. He created Tingle, probably his biggest claim to fame, I think.
Oh, I have a Tingle sitting right next to me. He's my eternal computer friend.
Well, there you go. You've discovered a new person that you'd never heard of before, but who you've been a fan of for years.
Tingle, I met your dad.
And yeah, he's also supervised. He's the guy who supervised all of the Star Fox and F-Zero games that were made by other studios as well.
Even the bad ones.
Even the bad ones, yeah.
Oh no.
I don't know how much, because I mean, from my knowledge of it, Star Fox Adventures was largely finished before it became a Star Fox game.
They just had to rebrand it in post.
Pretty much. I think they just kind of rebranded it and moved it to the GameCube because it was originally it was an N64 game called Dinosaur Planet, and a prototype of that recently surfaced on the internet, and I think it's like near fully playable, but it doesn't have any Star Fox stuff in it.
Sounds like a good time.
Honestly, I wish they'd released the non-Star Fox version, because I think if Star Fox Adventures isn't a bad game, it's just a bad Star Fox game.
Yeah.
And I think if it had been allowed to be released as Dinosaur Planet, as the original IP, not tied to anything else that it was supposed to be, I think it would be a much more fondly remembered game.
I do understand why they might have thought that they'd have trouble selling Dinosaur Planet, because it does not sound like something one would enjoy. But to merge it with Star Fox is not a good idea.
No. But, I think it probably would have sold okay just based on the fact that it was made by Rare, because they were at the top of their game back then.
Maybe.
They were doing a lot of original IPs and they all sold well, just because they were Rare games. Anyway, so the first F-Zero game only had 4 characters in it.
And they were all Captain Falcon.
And you don't actually see any of them in the game, they're only in the manual. And they were Captain Falcon, Dr. Stewart, Pico, and Samurai Goro. 2 of those characters we see in this episode. I'm sure the other 2 are in the show later, but...
What a weird, eclectic cast.
It really is, yeah. Only one of them's an alien, which is
Captain
funny.
Falcon?
Yeah. But yeah, most of the rest of the cast were introduced in F-Zero X, which introduced so many characters. From from the first game to the second game, it went from 4 characters to 30 characters.
Oh, that's too many boys.
It's many, many boys, but I love the F-Zero X cast because there are so many of them, and they've all got their own story, and it really feels like you're looking at. It's hard to believe they were all created for that game because they're so fleshed out that it almost feels like you're looking at, like Marvel versus Capcom cast or something, you know? They all feel like these fully fleshed out characters.
How many of them are aliens?
Oh, I don't know, but there's a decent amount. Well, we've got Pico. I know there's like a Wolf Boy. There's Biorex and Octoman who are both in this episode.
Oh yeah, I saw them.
Yeah, they're good friends of mine. Anyway, the show. That's all I have to say about the game. The show's called F-Zero GP Legend. And it first aired on October 7th, 2003 on TV Tokyo.
This show looks so much older than it is.
It's right on that cusp, right?
Mm-hmm.
When shows were just beginning to transition over to digital coloring and everything.
You've got some big CGI cars, but then the art itself is still very 90s anime.
Yeah. TV Tokyo is the channel that Pokemon was airing on, so this was airing alongside Pokemon.
Well, Pikachu and Captain Falcon did meet on the set of Smash Brothers.
That's true, but so did Kirby, and he wasn't on this channel.
Kirby had other things to do.
Anyway, this show has 51 episodes, that's a pretty standard episode count in Japan. It's one episode a week for a year, which is pretty normal.
Yeah.
It was made by Ashi Productions, who were also behind our old friend, Magical Princess, Minky Momo.
There she is again.
There she is again.
Following us forever.
She comes up all the time.
I'm telling you, she's cast a long, dark shadow across humanity. I love her for it.
In the US, it first aired on 18th of September 2004 on Foxbox, which was the Saturday morning block on Fox, preceding, 4Kids TV that came after it?
You're asking me like I know.
Well, we talked about it before. I hoped you might remember, because I didn't.
There are a few things that I remember.
The interesting thing about the dub, it was dubbed by 4Kids, by the way. We all know 4Kids. They did Pokemon and Kirby and Viva
And Yu-Gi-Oh.
Pinata and Yu-Gi-Oh.
Don't forget Yu-Gi-Oh.
The interesting thing about this show is that there are 51 episodes in Japan, but the dub was cancelled after just 15.
Oh, cool.
So only the first 15 episodes have English versions.
It was that bad.
I guess.
Now, is it the dub that was bad or the show?
It might be a little bit of both. So apparently, I couldn't find the quote where he said this, but I have been informed that Miyamoto said that this show is what made Nintendo more cautious about licensing out their games. So, I don't know, take that as you will, I guess. I feel like they were already kind of cautious before that, but I guess, like, they were having kind of a resurgence of Nintendo shows at this point. We just had the Kirby show, Pokemon was really successful, and then this F-Zero show came, and then it stopped. So maybe it's true.
Maybe Miyamoto just really doesn't want to be reminded of F-Zero. So when he saw that there was a full show airing, he's like, "What have I done?"
Maybe.
Relax.
Well, yeah, I don't know. Who knows? But
F-Zero is his dark horse.
I don't think it was very successful in Japan, and I guess it was even less successful in America. It's possible that they only aired all the 51 episodes in Japan because they were committed to it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I couldn't tell you. There isn't that much online about this show, which also probably is probably quite damning in itself. Now that I think about it,
I'm getting drawn into the mystery of F-Zero now. I think we need to watch this entire show.
We'll probably come back to it a lot. I don't remember if I've said this on the show before, but I like to revisit shows if further episodes introduce more characters and concepts from the game. And this one has a lot of characters.
Yeah, and it hasn't even properly introduced the main one.
No. Well, I mean, as soon as the show opens, Captain Falcon's there talking to us.
That's true, but he's warning us about epileptic seizures.
F-Zero は部屋を明るくしてテレビから離れてみてくれたまえ。
He's telling us to back up from the TV.
And to be fair, good on him. But
yes,
still.
this is a remnant of the Porygon incident. A lot of Japanese shows around the time would have these warnings at the beginning, because this was only a few years after the whole the Porygon kerfuffle. That's a really flippant way of saying it. I'm sorry. It was a big tragedy. This is Falcon's only line in the episode.
That's true. He shows up again, but he just zooms on by and looks mysterious.
Captain Falcon is the main character of F-Zero. I feel like he's the only F-Zero character that many people know.
I hope that we don't learn anything about him until like the final episode. I hope he's in every episode, but he doesn't say a word.
I can tell you some things, but I'll save it for later.
Damn.
Because this is not my first time watching this show. I've never watched the entire series, but I've watched a few episodes. Maybe just 2 episodes. I'm not sure.
I just want it to be like, if you're gonna be bad, go completely bad.
Oh yeah.
Make this wild and stinky.
That's the best. It's the best for us and our show that we do.
Make me fight to love it.
So Captain Falcon, since he did have one line here, I will talk about Captain Falcon's voice actors. In Japanese, he is played by Hideyuki Tanaka, who is known for playing Otacon from Metal Gear Solid, which surprised me a lot.
Why?
Just, Otacon and Captain Falcon, very different characters.
I don't know what you're talking about. You got Mysterious Speedman and Whiny Loser Nerd. That's like the same guy.
Yeah, I guess you're right. And he also played Mythos in Tales of Symphonia. I have played that game and I recognize the name Mythos. I think he might be the villain, but it's been a long time. I can't remember. In English, he's played by David Wills, who we've talked about before because he played Fergie Fudgehog. And now I can only imagine that voice coming out of Captain Falcon.
And that face.
That's what's under the mask.
Yeah, that's why he keeps it on all the time.
Because his eyes keep growing every time he says a word.
He's actually just running away from the candiosity meter. That's why he's in a fast car.
What did you think about the opening? This theme song?
The theme song slaps. But the opening itself, it was wild and nonsense.
The theme song was pretty good. I have to say, though, at the very beginning of the theme, it really felt like F-Zero music. And
before it just didn't.
And then the singing started. And it immediately stopped feeling like F-Zero music.
It felt better than F-Zero music. Transcendent.
So immediately we are thrust into the 26-22 racing final?
It's 2201.
Oh, is it 2201?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Where did I get 26 from? Oh, wait, I think that might be the year it was in the games. I think they changed it. I think in the games it's set in like the 2600s.
Is Captain Falcon an immortal racing demon?
I think it's just an alternate universe. You know how anime like to create a new universe?
Yeah, so they can give us whiny protagonists to follow.
Okay, so the game takes place in the year 2560. And then F-Zero X is 2561.
Why did they move this forward 300 years?
Or back, you mean?
I meant like if you're looking at a calendar, it is. I
Oh,
don't know
no.
what forward came out of my head.
Yeah, we're having this whole thing about the confusing is like there was a thing about this on the internet a while ago about how like when some people say forward they mean the opposite direction when it comes to time
Yeah,
than what other people mean, so then everyone gets confused.
I hate time.
Yeah, like if somebody says let's move this meeting forward 2 hours, I think that they mean the meeting's going to be 2 hours earlier.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, now I'm really confused. The show is in the 2200s, right?
Yes.
And the game is in the 2500s.
Right. So I said, why did the show move it forward 300 years?
Oh, well, now we're exposing an inconsistency in my language, because when you say that, to me, it means you're moving it forward.
That is what forward means. Forward. When you look up forward in the dictionary, the definition is forward.
Yeah, but see, when you said it in that context, I took it to mean further away from me.
Language is dumb.
Yeah,
I do not like it.
I'm confused. I've lost my own. I'm gonna have some kind of crisis if we keep talking about this, so we're gonna need to change subjects.
Some kind of dino crisis? Because we've gone too far back in time.
I don't think there's a Dino Crisis show, but I'm gonna have to look that up later.
No.
Anyway, there's only 24 races, they said. I noticed the announcer said there were 24 races in this race, which means
Yes.
that not all of the F-Zero characters are here.
Because they haven't been born dead yet.
That means that at least 5 of them are missing, right? Because if there's 30 F-Zero X characters and there's 24 on the track and one of them is this new guy. Oh, no, wait. I guess there's 6 missing? 7
Wait,
missing.
there's a few new people on the track.
I don't think so.
Or I don't know who F-Zero characters are.
No,
I
that's
also
true.
don't know who these characters are.
I think there's only one new character, I think. Well, I'll tell you who all the others are as we come across them.
Okay. I did eventually get their names, but I love that they introduced us to a full cast of characters and we didn't know who a single one was.
Yeah, they didn't do great about introducing everybody, I noticed.
They didn't do great about a lot of things.
Yeah, most of the cars here waiting to start the race are straight from the game. These are actual F-Zero X race cars.
Cool.
We're told that the Mobile Task Force are trying to stop the enemy from winning prize money to fund operations.
That was so vague and incredible. I loved it.
Yeah. So the Mobile Task Force are several different characters. I think we're shown a little flash of each of them here.
Yeah, we see a little bit of them as Action Teen blasts by them.
And then we have Rick Wheeler, as he's known in English.
Oh.
Yeah, in Japanese he's Ryu Suzaku. I didn't mention this up front, but when we're watching an anime, we default to the Japanese version as long as I can find it, which I've always been able to so far. Ryu Suzaku is played by Toshiyuki Morikawa, who is best known for playing Sephiroth. But
You didn't pronounce his name correctly.
what is it?
Sephiroth.
Thank you for correcting me. You are absolutely right.
You're welcome. I
He
couldn't
also-
let that stand.
He also played Haunter, Bruno, and Wallace in Pokemon. Wallace is the champion, right? The Gen 3? No, wait.
That's
He was a gym leader, but then in Emerald he was the champion. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I get confused because they introduced Wallace and Wally in the same game.
Yeah. The champion of Ruby and Sapphire was originally my boy, Steven Stone.
Yeah, I realized that after I said it. 'Cause, like, I knew Wallace was a champion and he's from Gen 3, but as I said it, I was like, but no, Steven's the champion.
Steven will always be the champion in my heart.
Yeah, Steven's the cooler champion. Wallace is okay, but I don't like him so much as the champion. He's a good gym leader, though.
Yeah.
He also played Lance in Pokemon Masters, but not in the show. I don't know why. I don't know why they wouldn't use the same guy.
Maybe he retired.
Apparently, he's also Two-Face in Batman Ninja,
Cool.
which I've seen. I was going to say which I've seen but not watched. That's not right. I've heard of but not seen. He's also apparently the Japanese voice of Keanu Reeves.
I love it.
You know, we've talked before about how sometimes they'll just assign a voice actor to an actor and he'll play that actor in whatever the actor's in.
Uh-huh.
It's that. So he's played Keanu Reeves in like basically everything Keanu Reeves is in.
That's incredible.
He's also done the same for Ewan McGregor
What? Okay.
and Tom Cruise, Adam Sandler,
Oh.
Owen Wilson,
What a strange cast of characters.
and Brendan Fraser.
In the Japanese dub of Scrubs.
It probably was. I didn't look too closely at the lists. Although I did check to see because Owen Wilson was one of the ones listed, I checked to see if that meant he was the voice of Lightning McQueen. But he's not. I was sad about it. We watched
Yeah.
Cars in my Discord this weekend.
Oh yeah, I saw that, but I was outside and I couldn't put the microphone on.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I quite like the first Cars movie. The second one's not so good, but the
I've
first
never
one's
actually
quite sweet.
it. Because the idea of it just never really stuck with
Yeah, I
me.
understand that. See, I'm not really a car person, but
This is a great episode to say that.
these aren't cars. These are basically spaceships.
There's cars. There's a car. I saw it.
That's true. In the flashbacks, yeah, there was a car. Who's the English voice? The English voice is Greg Abbey, who played Sam Speed in Sonic X, who is also a race car driver.
Yeah, why is he just typecast to a race car driver?
He was also Tristan in Yu-Gi-Oh!
Oh, also a race car driver.
I don't know who it is. Tristan Yugi's other friend, the one that's not
The
Joey?
white-haired boy, the white-haired. I think he's British in the English dub.
Is that? I thought that was Bakura.
Oh wait, no. Yeah. Tristan is the pointy hair one. It's been a long time since I've watched that. I'm getting everybody
Is Tristan Yugi's other friend the one that's not Joey?
Yeah, the pointy.
Okay.
He's got the one single brown spike on his head.
Okay, yes, that's who I thought it was. I know Joey. Joey's my favorite character.
Joey's everybody's favorite character.
He also played the 4Kids Raphael in 4Kids Ninja Turtles. And apparently he's in a single episode of Jessica Jones, the Netflix series.
Okay.
I didn't look into who he was, but he's in it. That's all I cared
Right,
about.
race car driver.
Maybe he is. Yeah. He must be if this guy's playing him. Just like Raphael.
Yeah.
So he's driving along and he gets rammed by Biorex. He's a dinosaur boy. He's from the game.
Yeah. To somebody who has never seen these characters before, this entire scene was quite confusing. There's just a dinosaur in a car. There's
Yeah.
an octopus shaking his tentacles.
That's F-Zero, baby. F-Zero X is on the Switch now, on that N64 thing. And
no.
I recommend giving it a shot because it's fun. Well, you were saying to me the other day that your favorite courses in Mario Kart are the F-Zero ones, right?
Uh-huh.
So you'd like it. You should play F-Zero X.
I think I tried it once. The thing is, the F-Zero courses in Mario Kart are my favorite, but that game is also much more polished than an N64 game.
That's true.
It's very hard for me to go back and play Mario Kart 64.
F-Zero X, although the models are simple, it doesn't feel super aged, and that's because they did tons of work to make it run at a consistent 60 frames per second all the time. It's not.
I'll put it to the test.
I do find it's less hard to go back to than Mario Kart 64 is, but I do wish there was some way for us to play F-Zero GX, the GameCube one, because although I don't think it's quite as good as F-Zero X, it's more polished and nicer to look at.
It's easier to play.
So Ryu says he's been racing for 150 years.
Which is a lie.
It is a lie. And then we get a flashback to 2051.
Yeah, where he is a speed boy in
Yeah.
a normal car.
In a Formula One car, yeah. I'm just so confused because why did they go to the effort of giving us this character from the past if he's still from the future?
Because we need some distance between us because he's not believable enough. He's not relatable enough to us hip teens in the year 2004.
The funny
So
thing is, he. I find personally, as someone watching this in 2022, he felt like he was from the past. Even though he's still supposed to be from the future.
His flashbacks felt very dated somehow.
Yeah, they didn't feel like they were 30 years in the future from now.
They felt like they were from 1950, not 2050 or whatever it was.
Yeah, there was really no need for them to... Yeah, 2051 it was. Like, apparently. Anyway, some cute girl runs up and gives him a bunch of flowers, and he pulls her up next to him. I'm assuming they already know each other, and that he didn't decide to marry her based on this moment.
That wasn't the first time they met, and he bamboozled her into a marriage by publicly proposing.
Hey, he hasn't bamboozled her into a marriage yet.
That's true.
But
that's gonna have to wait 150 years.
So this is Haruka, his girlfriend. She is played by Sayuri Yoshida, who we've talked about before because she played Fumu in Kirby as well.
Oh.
Yeah. And in English, she's played by Amy Birnbaum, who...
Cool name.
She played Max in Pokemon. She was Molly in the third Pokemon movie. She is Taya in Yu-Gi-Oh!
I know that bitch.
She's also the voices of Charmy, Cosmo, Helen, and Froggy in Sonic X.
Froggy?
Yeah. I just love that there's an English voice credit for Froggy. They could have just used the Japanese voice. All he does is ribbit. And also, back when we talked about Kirby, I said that I pointed out about how they had redubbed some of Kirby's lines into English but that I couldn't find out who did those lines. And this is who it was. It was Amy Birnbaum.
Oh, it was the frog girl.
It was the frog girl. I'm going to go ahead and call her the bee girl because I loved that she was the voice of Charmy, even though I did not like her voice for Charmy.
Well, that sounds dumb. She's the frog girl. I loved her voice as Froggy.
She also, she played Helen. I know you won't know who Helen is because you haven't seen Sonic X, but if there were any Sonic X specific character that they brought into another media, Helen would be my choice. Helen is she's a blonde girl in a wheelchair, and her being in a wheelchair actually gave her quite an interesting dynamic with Sonic.
Because Sonic had to push her around really quickly?
Yeah. No, there's a whole episode that I thought was really sweet where Sonic is avoiding going to a party that the president is throwing in his honor because he had promised to take the wheelchair girl to see some flowers.
The president's throwing me a party, but I gotta take someone to the gardens.
It's a cute episode. I like it. The whole episode is the president's aide, like, insanely trying to bring Sonic in somehow, just catch him and drag him to the party. So Ryu's on his way to a date with Haruka. Surprisingly, they did not change Haruka's name for the English version, although they did mispronounce it.
Did they call her Haruka?
Yeah, they did.
Like Sakura?
Yep.
Oh, I hate it.
Yeah. It's really strange because they changed Ryu to Rick. They obviously thought Ryu was too Japanese a name.
It's too hard for the American tongue to wrap around.
Yeah, they'll never... Well, it's not like there's any prominent characters already in America with the name Ryu. They can't understand a name like that.
That's wild. Who's that guy that Ken fights all the time? Rick?
Rick, there we go.
Rick Punchman?
Rick Punchman and Ken Masters. the well-known duo. I don't know if Ryu has a last name, actually.
It's Punchman.
There you go, now it is. That's canon. Put that on the wiki.
Somebody would do it, and that somebody is you. I know how much time you spend on fan wikis.
No, I never edit them, though. Even when I find mistakes, I'm just like, ha!
You're there for the mistakes.
That's true.
I know what you do with your free time.
So anyway, he's about to go to his date with Haruka, and he has an engagement ring ready. Oh, in my notes here, at the point where I noticed he had an engagement ring, my only note about that is, uh-oh.
Yeah, right, I was like, Haruka's gonna die.
Someone's gonna die for sure.
Like, we find out that the date is interrupted because some guy has escaped from jail, and I'm like, that guy's gonna speed to the harbor and run over Haruka, and that's just gonna be the end.
Yes, some guy has broken out from jail, and it's Zoda, and they say it's Zoda. Zoda is a character from the game. He doesn't look anything like this in the game, but
does he look like the Zoda that later appeared?
He does, actually, funnily enough.
I have a lot of questions about that.
Okay, good. Yeah, I thought it was... We've never seen Zoda like this in the games. In the games, we know that he was at one point human, who augmented himself, but they've done a lot to flesh him out here as a character, and I think it was a good idea for them to tie Ryu's backstory into an existing F-Zero character.
That's true.
Because it does make Ryu feel more part of the world that he's inhabiting here.
And it also makes him feel less kidnapped and thrust into a job he didn't ask for.
Well, I don't know that it does that.
He finds motivation, at least.
He does, by the end of the episode, yeah, that's true. In the game, Zoda is a minor villain. He's not the main villain. That is Black Shadow, who I assume will be in the show at some point too. Zoda is the arch nemesis of Super Arrow, who does not appear in this episode.
Oh no.
um,
Who's gonna stop him?
and he's also a minor enemy of Captain Falcon. It's been mentioned that Captain Falcon like monitors Zoda, but we don't know that
he just taps into his webcam and watches him.
Yeah, I don't know. We don't know that he's like spending too much time on this Zoda business. We know Captain Falcon's main target is Black Shadow, so
he just like watches Zoda's Twitch stream.
just like, what's he doing? Do I need to worry about that? Nah, I'll leave him for now.
Coming at you live and committing some crimes.
Zoda in Japanese is played by Shinpachi Tsuji, who seems to be mostly known for playing Pakun in Naruto.
I don't know that one.
No, I didn't know any of the things that he'd done, but that one had the most recurrences. In English, he's played by Jamie McGonigal, who we've talked about before because he was the male Twinger Snaphead in Viva Pinata.
What a strange connection.
Oh, there's going to be a lot of connections to Viva Pinata in this. So, again, it's a 4-kid show. They've got like 5 actors.
Like, I shouldn't be surprised, but when you see these characters next to each other, it's like, how?
Yeah. So Zoda, Ryu's chasing him, and what does he do? He like kicks the door off of his own car to use as a weapon?
No, he doesn't kick it. He shoots it, because at first it just looks like he's shooting his own foot. I'm like, what is this scene?
He shoots it and then he kicks it off, right? I think he shoots the hinge. I had to watch it twice to figure it out. Because at first I thought he was just shooting the floor of the car because his foot was there. And then the door of the car just flew off for no reason.
Bad foot. Haunted foot.
But yeah, the door of the car flies off and smashes into Ryu's windshield. And
it's curtains for Ryu.
It's headed right for his face. It's like gonna hit him right in the forehead. It goes into slow motion and you just see the edge of this car door coming at his forehead. In a way,
going to take his head off.
It's we don't see it make contact, but it really puts into your head like, oh, this guy's head is in half, right? It doesn't show any graphic images, but it sure puts them in your head.
And yet when we see Ryu next, like, he's bandaged, but he just has like a bump on his head.
Yeah. Well, they do talk about see, my note here, I've actually written a note here saying it's hard to imagine that he survived being cleaved like this.
Cleft in twain.
But I guess in the future, injuries like that aren't as big a deal.
It's like Mass Effect 2, where you can be mostly meat and tubes, but they'll still fish you out of deep space and put you back together.
They'll still sew you back together like a Dragon Quest butterfly.
Yeah, you'll have some scary robot parts, but if you're good enough, they'll go away.
He doesn't even get the scary robot parts. We got gypped on that.
Stupid Ryu.
Or maybe he's like all cyborg inside, I don't know.
They just stitched his face onto a robot.
Anyway, the next scene, we're now back in the future present.
That's exactly what I wrote. It's
word for word.
well, I said he's either dead or cryogenically frozen, because now we're in the future present where Speed Woman and Fast Lad are discussing bringing someone back from 150 years ago.
Yes, I don't... are these characters introduced? I don't think John is introduced formally to us at all.
Jodie is eventually introduced, but not by this point.
But these characters are John Tanaka and Jodie Summer, both F-Zero racers. In the games, Jodie Summer and John Tanaka are the only characters in the whole game who are mentioned to be employees of the Galactic Space Federation. But in the show, it seems like almost every character is.
Yeah, like you have to be to race in the F-Zero race.
Yeah, I was quite confused by it, but yeah, a lot of characters who in the game have no affiliation with the Galactic Space Federation are just Space Federation employees in this show, including Dr. Stewart, who is also introduced here in this scene. Dr. Stewart being one of the 4 original F-Zero characters.
I remember that name.
Yeah, here he is. So,
There he
here's some acting names.
is. Drop them on my doorstep.
John Tanaka is played by Isshin Chiba, who also plays Dr. Clash later in the episode. Dr. Clash isn't introduced, so I'll point him out when he shows up.
Okay.
But he's known for playing Jin Kazama in Tekken, and he's the White Bomberman in Super Bomberman R, apparently. In
Interesting.
In English, Tanaka is played by David Lapkin, who we spoke about before because he played Sir Ibram in Kirby. That's Fumu and Boon's dad.
Oh yeah.
Jodie Summer is played by Kikuko Inoue, who I knew best for playing Togekiss. She also played Kasumi in Ranma 1/2. She was Princess Melora in Twinbee, but she wasn't in the one we watched.
Oh.
She is Liette in Grandia. That's another one I knew. She's the official voice of Alex Kidd.
The Alex Kidd?
The Alex Kidd, yeah.
Wow.
And she was also Sunny in the Metal Gear series. I think Sunny's only in Metal Gear Solid 4 and Metal Gear Rising. And in English, Jodie Summer is played by Veronica Taylor, who we've talked about because she is the voice of Ash Ketchum.
Wow, I know him.
Yeah, check out that guy.
I see him. Now what?
Now we're done.
Okay. Bye.
And Dr. Stewart is played by... Well, both of Dr. Stewart's voices we've already talked about, actually. In Japanese, he's played by Nobuo Tobita, who played Kabu in Kirby.
Oh, the big guy that talks.
Yeah, that's Kabu. And in English, he's played by Dan Green, known for being Dan Green. I feel like we've talked about Dan Green a hell of a lot in this show already.
Good.
Oh, he's great, yeah.
He should be everywhere.
He was Horace Horstachio.
I think we should just dedicate the rest of this show to watching Dan Green shows, and by that I mean let's just watch Yu-Gi-Oh!
And Sonic X. He's in Sonic X a lot.
But Yu-Gi-Oh!
He's Knuckles.
The Canucks!
Dan Green is still my favorite Knuckles voice. Knuckles has had a lot of voices, and Dan Green's still the best one in my opinion.
My favorite Knuckles voice is Spanish language Knuckles.
The one who showed up with the Shadow t-shirt on.
Yes, he's so precious.
For anybody who doesn't know that story, the guy who provided Knuckles' voice for the Spanish dub of Sonic 2, the live-action movie, showed up to the premiere wearing what I guess he thought was a Knuckles t-shirt, but was actually Shadow recolored red. And it's so precious.
So precious.
Yeah, Dr. Stewart is trying to heal Ryu's wounds.
Yeah, he's got a science machine and he's trying to do it remotely.
So there's some backstory to Dr. Stewart here involved in this, because in his backstory in the game, well, in the game's general backstory, 3 years before F-Zero X, there was a huge crash. It's like a lot of characters have it mentioned in their backstory because it was a huge problem. And because of Dr. Stewart, because he's like a genius miracle surgeon, there were no deaths in the crash.
Whoa.
So that's that's his backstory, which is kind of lending itself to the show here. It's a pretty clever use of the character, I think, in a way that ties his game backstory into what he's doing here.
If anybody could glue a head back on a body, it's Dr. Stewart.
Yeah, he knows what he's doing. I assume.
He knows what he's gluing.
Shut up.
It's a head back on a body.
Two halves of a head.
He taped them together and then glued it back on because he ran out of tape.
So this is where we get... This is probably the most jarring moment of the episode, I think.
There were several very jarring moments.
We flash back to the present, because although we jumped forward again, that last bit wasn't actually the future present, it was still the future past.
Mm-hmm.
Now we jump back to the future present, just for a moment, so that we can see Octoman shaking his tentacles at Rick.
Right, and that's it. And then it's right back to a flashback.
My note here just says temporal whiplash, so... I didn't mention it. When the episode starts, it actually plays the Mute City theme. Forgot to say
Yeah,
that.
it plays the Mute City theme a lot. And there's actually one point where I made a note where the music was just like a slowed down melancholy Mute City.
Really? I only noticed it at the very beginning of the show.
No, it played a lot throughout.
Okay, I'm gonna have to go back and have a look then. Oh yeah, anyway, we come back. Ryu's awake now. He's okay. He's fine.
He's fine, but he is blank in the face and doesn't really know what's going on.
Yeah, he's not with it yet. They wake him up and Jodie just tells him that he works for her now.
Like, he hasn't even really come to yet, as we'll learn in a scene very soon.
It's like,
she's
welcome
just
back
like-
to life. You're my employee.
You are in the mobile task force. You have no say. Here are your clothes.
Yeah, like, is this okay? Is that okay in the future?
They did it in Futurama.
Can you just revive dead? That's true, they did do it in Futurama. Is this just the gritty remake of Futurama? Because there's a scene coming up that's very reminiscent of it as well.
There's also the fact that they're both happening in future New York.
Yeah. Yeah, so he gets his ring back and he just stares blankly at it for a long time.
Like, he and the ring are making some deep eye contact.
And then he seems to suddenly remember what it is.
Right, it glistens just right, and it kind of snaps him out of it.
Yeah, and I guess that's like all of his memories returning or something in that moment. Maybe he had amnesia and the ring brought his memories back, but that's not made clear.
That was my guess. And he immediately just has a complete freak out.
Yes, and then he grabs his clothes. They have two sets of clothes laid out for him. They have his old clothes there for no reason. And then they also have new ones that are more in fashion in the 2200s. I don't know why they laid out his old ones at all.
Just so he can take those and they can be like, why didn't you take the cool new ones? We picked them out for you.
Yeah, but he grabs his old clothes and he rushes off. He says he has to meet somebody. So I guess he doesn't realize that any time has passed. You think he'd realize that some time has passed? She's probably not still standing
Especially
there.
when he's in this giant science facility
Yeah.
full of futuristic technology,
And people in weird outfits.
and he just got pulled out of a machine that remotely sewed his head back on.
So he gets dressed as he's running, and then he finds a giant window from which he can see Mute City. And
The Mute City.
they explain to him that it used to be New York and now it's Mute City. In the games... Oh, sorry.
Well, he's just like, what is this place? And Jodie's like, well, I was gonna tell you. And he just ran out of there.
Yeah, this is where they tell him that he's in the future now. This is where he has his My God, a million years moment.
Just so stupid.
I love that show.
Ew.
In the games, we get the extra backstory of Mute City, that it's actually called Mutant City,
Oh.
and Mute City is just a nickname for it. But I don't know if the games say that it was originally New York.
That was just added to the anime so we could understand.
Possibly. Or it might be true in the games as well, I'm not sure. But I don't remember it, and I couldn't find anything about it when I looked. But yeah, I do know that Mute City is short for Mutant City. And that it is the largest city on Earth. And this is where we meet Jack Levin.
Yeah, the pointy-hairedest anime boy.
Yeah. Jack is played by Kazuki Yao, who is known for playing Tiger in Monster Rancher. In English, he's played by Mark Thompson, who played Franklin Fizzly Bear in Viva Pinata.
Hate it.
He plays Jag with an accent. It took me most of the episode to decide, but I
Is
think
it Brooklyn?
he's playing him Australian.
Why?
But, like,
they're in New York.
I know, but it goes back and forth. Half the time it sounds British, and the rest it sounds Australian. So
Guess you should have left a wake-up call, Wheeler.
That's because it's hard for us to distinguish between Australian and British.
I mean, this is
they're just kind of the same.
This is right after the Kirby show, so we're deep in
Everyone has an accent for no reason.
Yeah, we're deep in 4Kids' accent practice era.
But why not a Brooklyn accent?
I don't know. Ryu runs away to where Dr. Clash is working on a car.
Is that his name?
That's his name. It's never mentioned in the episode, but yes.
No, I was calling him Buildy Man.
This is Buildy Man, Dr. Clash.
Oh, I also have Dr. Builder.
Again, like, neither of these characters are in any way affiliated with the Galactic Task Force in the games. Jack is just a pop star who has turned to racing.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, he's a pop star.
He's not a police officer.
Yeah.
That's really popular for some reason.
And Dr. Clash is just like a mad inventor.
I've gone mad! I invented these really fast space cars!
He's like, I guess I would say he's like a benign Dr. Eggman. But yeah, Dr. Clash is played by Isshin Chiba, who we already heard earlier as John Tanaka. And in English, he's played by Mark Diraison. He played Riley, Clayton, and Ingo in Pokemon. 3 very different characters, I feel like.
Mm-hmm. But which Viva Pinata was he?
I don't think he was any of the Pinatas. Oh, this might be the guy who played the Mouse Mallow. Somebody was in this who played a Mouse Mallow, but I didn't write it down because we didn't see any Mouse Mallow when we watched Viva Pinata. But he did play Dejing in Shenmue 3. He also has decided to play Dr. Clash with a Russian-adjacent accent.
Well done. What a machine.
Okay.
I don't know why. It doesn't make too much sense to me, but anyway.
That was just a thing that they did.
I do like that, although they've changed Dr. Clash to make him a policeman, they have kept the fact that he's kind of a lunatic.
Yeah.
So Ryu demands the key for this car and Clash just hands it over. and just starts like describing the features of the car and doesn't realize until it's too late that Ryu's stealing it.
Right. He's like halfway through the tunnel and he's like, wait a second, you can't take that.
Yeah, I did like that. I like Dr. Clash. I hope he's in the show quite a lot.
I hope he becomes a racer. The masked racer.
I mean, he is a racer.
Racer X.
Then we get some ad bumpers, which tell us that this car that Ryu just stole is called the Dragon Bird.
Yeah, I got some real whiplash from the ad bumpers.
Oh, yeah?
because the scene just before it was Ryu screaming into the camera because the car was going so fast. And then it's just like, this is his car, the Dragon Bird.
Yeah, here it is. It is quite a calm
It's
ad
fun.
bumper, isn't it?
Yeah. This is Jodie Summer. She drives the White Cat. Anyway, here we go. Back to Screaming Man in Car.
The Dragon Bird is number 00 for some reason. That seems weird to me.
Yeah.
I wonder if they made it number 0 to avoid interfering with the numbering of the cars in the games. Like maybe they would
Couldn't
think.
just look up what the cars were.
Well, maybe they were just like, if more characters get introduced in the games, this won't interfere with them. Although the games had already introduced a car 00 before the show started airing, so.
Oh.
I quite like the design of Mute City in this show.
Me too.
It was kind of hard to pass it, but I think what we were seeing was that there are like floating portions of the city up above that have screens underneath them showing the sky.
Mm-hmm.
So that even if you're underneath a part of the city, you can still see the sky if you look up. And that's a pretty cool idea, I think.
The only part about Mute City that I didn't like was that the one place that Ryu needed to go was unchanged.
Yes, it was really weird.
It's very weird.
Ryu, on his way there, Ryu sees a bunch of aliens everywhere, and he, I guess, accepts that 150 years have passed because aliens.
Because seeing the floating space city wasn't enough for him.
But he gets to the park where he was supposed to meet Haruka, and yeah, it's not changed. And then Jack immediately finds him there because it's the only place that's not been changed.
Right.
But that doesn't make any sense, because how would Ryu know that? Jack's like, I knew you'd be here because it's the only place that hasn't changed in 150 years. But like that...
That's just a coincidence.
Yeah, that's a coincidence. There's no way Ryu would know that.
I don't know, man.
Anyway, Jack sees the ring and I guess figures out what was going on. And he takes Ryu to a bar to meet some women. Because that's what somebody wants in that moment.
No, so hold on, let me check my notes real quick. Really quick.
Okay.
Because I write too many notes, you know that.
No, it's good. I don't think I wrote enough this time.
So Jack, like, the word that came to mind is not correct, invites, but he challenges him. He challenges him to a race, and then he's like, but first I'm going to take you to this nightclub. Which they stay in for all of 5 minutes.
In the middle of the day.
In the middle of the day. And then they just leave.
Yeah. So all the girls like Jack a lot because he's a pop star.
We don't know this yet. We think he's just a pointy-headed cop.
But why do they like Ryu so much?
Because they're thirsty?
I guess. They all just flock to Ryu, and the whole time I'm just like, but he's just a basic guy. Maybe it's because he's dressed in past clothes, and they're like, ooh, look at that 150-year-old man.
He's retro.
Maybe that's what it is.
But like, imagine you're at a hip nightclub, and somebody walks up dressed in like a pinstripe suit with a bowler hat on. You don't think he's cool. You think, who is this loser?
I don't even remember the girls' outfits looking particularly futuristic, though.
No, me neither.
They just look like regular 2000s women.
That was the future back in 2004.
Guess it was. So they're out. They go to have a race.
Yeah, and Jack says if he wins, Ryu has to give him the car, but that's not even Ryu's car to give.
No. He's basically saying, if I win, you have to return stolen property.
If I win, I'm stealing your stolen car, loser.
I don't even know what's so special about this car.
No, No, we're not told.
It doesn't seem to be really any. I think the only thing we were really told about it is how much it weighed.
Yeah.
So they have a race, and I guess Ryu doesn't know how to boost.
Yeah, he mentions that earlier, and he still has not quite learned how to go fast. And yet he's still ahead of Jack for like most of the time.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but Jack knows how to boost, so he boosts past him.
Eventually.
Because boosting is a big part of F-Zero. You have kind of a health meter that is also your boost meter, so you have to kind of weigh up whether you want to boost more versus whether you want to crash into things.
Oh. That wasn't made very clear in the anime.
No, not really, but he does
It
boost.
just looked like it was scream powered. Just the more he screamed, the faster he went.
Yeah, he eventually figures out how to boost, but then he boosts for a little bit, screams the whole time, and then he crashes and flips the car.
I loved that he crashed because, of course, you're expecting him to win. Like, oh, he's just naturally talented at space future cars. But no, he eats shit, and I loved it.
And Jodie's watching from the top of the canyon.
That was so weird.
Yeah, she's just got some binoculars out. He crashes, and Jack gets out to check on him, to make sure he's okay. And then he just kind of yells at Jack a bit, and Jack leaves. I don't really know why Jodie wanted this guy so much.
No, they never tell us.
I'm assuming it's explored more later. Maybe it's because of his connection to Zoda, who,
Maybe.
spoiler alert, back at the base, there's a siren going off, and it's the Zoda alarm. Zoda's doing crimes.
I love that Ryu could immediately tell it was Zoda,
Yeah.
even though he looks nothing like Zoda.
It's the mouth, I think. It's all in the mouth.
I guess, but I'm gonna be real honest with you. If you separated the mouths of my best friends and just left them floating in a void, I couldn't tell you whose was whose. I think that they were all strangers.
Yeah, well, the mouth is the only thing. It's that huge grin that he has.
Yeah.
Ryu immediately recognizes that as Zoda without being told. You said you had some questions?
Like, what? What? How is Zoda alien now? How is he still alive 150 years in the future? How is the exact same thing playing out that Ryu left this world on?
Yeah, I don't have answers for most of those. I can tell you that in the because Zoda isn't as fleshed out as this in the games because he's not a very important character. We do know that he was once human, and we know that he has a machine that constantly pumps dopamine and adrenaline into his body, and that's about all we know.
Really happy guy.
Yeah, that's about all we know about him.
Is that the tube?
Yes, I assume so. Yeah, we know he's a villain. We know he's Super Arrow's nemesis.
Everybody's dopamine. He's crunched up all the Zoloft and put it in his machine.
Yeah, there you go. That's it. That's the villainy. Maybe that's what he wants the prize money for.
To steal all the drugs.
There's a room. We go to a room where the task force are gathered, and Jodie is addressing Dr. Stewart, Jack Levin, Dr. Clash, who still hasn't been introduced, and Mr. EAD, who is not introduced. He doesn't speak or do anything. He's just here.
Cool.
Mr. EAD is a robot named after the studio that made the game.
Gotcha.
That's why his face looks a little bit like Mario, and he has a Mario star on his belt.
Oh, I was mostly just confused by the fact that there was a robot nobody talked about.
He's just there. No one mentions him. I don't know why he was there. I don't know why they chose to include him in this scene. It was just confusing.
He's this show's Scruffy the janitor.
We don't know who he is, and he doesn't do anything, so there's really no need for him to be in this scene.
Except to sneak their own fan insert character into the show.
Maybe it was in the contract they had with Nintendo. Maybe they're like, Mr. EAD must appear in every episode.
My son, Mr. EAD, must be in every episode.
Ryu comes in and begs to be involved.
He's wearing future clothes now
He is.
because now he's serious.
He's accepted his fate.
He wants to catch Zoda because Zoda threw a door at him.
Because I think the implication was that Jack was going to get the Dragon Bird because Ryu didn't seem to be up to it. But then Ryu comes in and he begs for the Dragon Bird, and Jack argues with him, but he like grabs his hand and he begs.
He's thought
like,
that he was begging for the Dragon Bird because he had stolen it. And it's not that it now belonged to Jack, but...
Oh, that it was always supposed to be Jack's? You're probably right, actually. No, I guess you're right. It was never really supposed to be his, was it? It was... I think it was implied, actually, that the Dragon Bird was being made for Jack.
Was it? I don't think anything in this show was implied.
Or Jack at least expected to have it.
Yeah, because he made a deal that he knew he was going to win.
They all run off to the race. Jody tells us that Biorex and Octoman both work for Zoda. That isn't true in the games. They are just unconnected characters in the games, but knowing that they work for Zoda, he makes them both crash.
Yeah, they try to pincer him, but he just manages to hit a boost at the right time that they smash into each other.
I hope that they have lines later, because especially Octoman, I really like him.
I want to know what an octopus beak sounds like when it makes words.
I'm gonna guess it just sounds like a gruff voice. Human man voice. That's my guess.
But what accent do you think 4Kids gave him?
I'm gonna say that they probably went racist and made him really thick Japanese accent.
I was gonna say they went racist and made him have a Caribbean accent.
No, both equally racist options, yeah. We'll see, I guess. But then Captain Falcon overtakes Ryu and looks back at him over his shoulder and gives him a smile, which I'm sure Ryu can't see.
Says nothing.
And says nothing. And that's the end.
That was the end. That was all the Falcon we get.
Yep. That's it. Just a tiny little bit of Captain Falcon. We get the ending song. I didn't catch the name of it, but it has some English in it.
Oh yeah, a little bit. I wasn't paying much attention because I wasn't that into it.
No, it's not very good, but the English line that's repeated over and over is "We all grow up."
We all grow up 今描いている未来はそう変えられる We all grow up さあ走り出そう想いの力で切り開け Get my dream
That means you, Ryu. You've had 150 years to goof around.
And then at the very end, it has another English line, which is "Get my dream."
Get it! It's floating away!
Oh my god, Captain Falcon, get it! It's right above you! You're taller than me!
Please, just pick me up!
And then a funny puppet man shows up. And he explains the F-Zero universe to us like we're idiots.
We are.
I didn't pay too much attention to what he was saying, but it didn't seem to be anything too technical. Or anything that we couldn't have gleaned from having just watched the episode.
Right. I was just knocked off of my feet by the episode preview that is at the very end. It was madness.
Yes. I didn't pay too much attention to it, but The next episode is called Captain Falcon. I can tell you from experience that Captain Falcon is barely in it.
I believe that because I have a note about what my takeaway from this episode preview was, and it is Jack saying, "Ryu, you can't drive that car," and Ryu saying, "It's not like a normal F-Zero car. The bus station has been attacked. We can't miss the race."
It sounds like something from a Strong Bad email.
It's madness.
Bertucci has intercepted the serum at the border. If that serum doesn't make it through, they'll kidnap Cutesy Buttons.
Bertucci!
I mean, that's exactly what it was. I'm wearing my luchador mask and typing in boxing gloves about F-Zero.
I've watched this episode before, and the episode is called Captain Falcon, but from my memory, Captain Falcon shows up in the last 10 seconds of the episode and says, "I'll see you at the race," and then leaves.
I love it. I absolutely love it.
I don't know why the episode was called Captain Falcon, and I didn't watch any more because at the place I watched it, I can't remember where it was I watched it, but there were comments underneath the video. And I looked at the comments, and the top comment was somebody saying, "For anybody wondering, the next time Captain Falcon appears is in episode 7." And I was like, I'm done with this.
No, I love it. I am in love with this tactic. It's insane. It's wonderful. Whoever did it, mwah, chef's kiss.
The show just keeps teasing us with the promise of Captain Falcon and not
With the
delivering.
promise of the protagonist. With the promise of what the show is named after.
But yeah, the puppet man. To come back to the puppet man, the funny paper doll man who explains F-Zero to us. He doesn't tell us who he is. He teases us like it's secret knowledge.
What if it's Captain Falcon?
I don't know who it is.
And
Oh,
what if it's Captain Falcon?
what if it is? No, you know what? Because actually it might be. And it hadn't occurred to me until you just said that.
With my big brain.
It's actually possible. I'm not going to rule it out. That might be Captain Falcon as a paper doll.
I love it.
Because I believe the show does reveal Falcon's identity for the first time.
What if Captain Falcon isn't in all these episodes because he's busy making puppets?
But anyway, I was confused about why they used this paper doll because there is a game character who'd be perfect for showing up to explain the F-Zero universe to us. His name is Mr. Zero, and he's the race announcer.
Because that's not Captain Falcon showing off his puppetry.
It might, you know what? You've said it, and now I'm thinking, what? Maybe that is unmasked Captain Falcon. I'm not sure. It might be. Anyway, that's the end. We've watched the entire show.
It was insane. I didn't enjoy it, but I loved it.
On a second viewing, I actually enjoyed it more than I did the last time I tried to watch it. And I am curious to watch more of it now. I want to push through. I want to push through to the point. Because I know at some point Captain Falcon does become a major character.
Just not until about 30 episodes
Yeah,
in.
it's possible. But I've seen that clip from like way later where Captain Falcon punches a planet, and I do want to see that. You've seen that clip, right?
Maybe it's been a long time.
I think I sent it to you like way back when I first saw it, but it was years ago.
Probably.
I just want to see him Falcon punch things. That's what I'm here for.
I know. Get him out of the car and let him hit stuff with his fist.
Just give me half an hour of Captain Falcon yelling the names of his attacks and telling me to show him my moves. That's all I want.
That's just a match of Smash Brothers.
Yeah, it is. Captain Falcon's so great. I love him.
He's cool.
I'm worried that this show won't do justice to his goofiness.
Unless he's the paper man.
Unless he's the paper man. Well, we'll find out. So let's talk about the dub, shall we?
I guess.
Here's the theme song for it.
It is now 2201. Radical advances in transportation technology have transformed the world. Interplanetary travel has put mankind in touch with new planets, new life forms, new dangers. And a thrilling new sport grips the galaxy, fueled by fans across the universe and driven by the need for speed.
It's actually, I was surprised. This is like the only 4Kids theme song I've ever heard that doesn't have any lyrics.
Mm-hmm.
It's just some music. It's not good. It's not great.
But it's better than some of what they've shoveled
But
out.
at least it didn't come on and go like, Falcon, 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 it's a name you should know. Falcon, 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 he's the star of the show.
Excuse me, that song is incredible. I don't want to hear it. I want to hear it out of your mouth.
Listen, this era of 4Kids gave us the Viva Pinata theme, and I can't fault them for that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who wrote the Viva Pinata theme or why it's so much better than all the other theme songs they were writing at this time.
But it's filled with fun.
It's filled with fun. At some point, we should do a ranking of theme songs from the shows we've watched so far. As always, with 4Kids after Pokemon Johto, they just changed all the music.
Yeah.
It's all gone. All the original song is gone. There's no Mute City theme anymore. It's just kind of boring Sonic X sounding music.
That's lame.
It is lame. It's especially bad when the original was actually using music from the games.
Yeah.
And they just cut it completely.
Just put some action music in.
They did that with Sonic X. They cut out Live and Learn. In Sonic X, it actually plays Live and Learn in one part in the Japanese version, and they just cut it. You can't do that.
No, I'm guessing that nobody knew that that was actually from the game. And they're like, this song is just not what we want.
Like-
we need rapping. We need some dubstep.
I mean, probably, because they notoriously, don't know anything about the games when they translate these shows. But you'd think, the fact that the song's in English anyway, and it's very clearly, a song with lyrics, you'd think maybe they'd be like, maybe there's something significant about this song, but...
No, it doesn't fit the brand.
Yeah.
Get the kazoo, get the slide whistle.
Oh, yeah, well... See, and one of my big complaints about Sonic X's music is that in the Japanese version, Sonic's theme is like a guitar riff, which does sound a lot like Sonic Adventure music, and 4Kids took it out and replaced it with a synth trumpet theme. We'll talk about that more when we cover Sonic X, though.
We'll get there.
Yeah, they didn't change Haruka's name, although they did pronounce it wrong. The biggest change, though, I think, is that Jack Levin is way more of a jerk in the dub. In the Japanese version, he's pretty nice to Ryu. He's conceited and arrogant, but he's not mean to Ryu. He's trying to help him.
Mm-hmm.
He goes looking for him to check on him to make sure he's okay. When he crashes, he gets out of his car to make sure he's okay.
Yeah, he's very concerned when he crashed, which I was surprised about.
Yeah. But in the English version, Jack really treats Rick like garbage the whole time. And like every single sentence he says is an insult.
Cool.
And the two of them are just constantly hurling insults back and forth at each other.
A good-looking racer like you ought to be able to get lots of girls. Girls who like older guys, like over 150.
You're right. I am old. Old enough to know that any girl with half a brain could see you're an obnoxious overgrown brat.
And it was exhausting to listen to.
You know, I think I know why. It's because he was Australian.
Or British. It's one of the two.
I think we can comfortably say he was Australian to be such a bastard.
We've been watching Flight of the Conchords, everybody. Yeah, no, it was really strange watching the original version and the dub version back to back. I was like, wow, why did they think that they needed to make Jack so much more of an asshole?
I don't know.
'Cause
Maybe
also-
we're just not supposed to like him.
At the end of the episode, when Rick begs Jack for the dragon bird, in the Japanese version, Jack gives in because he sees the sincerity in Ryu. Because Ryu says please. He like begs him for the machine. And in the face of that passion, Jack is like, okay, I can see this means something to you, and he backs down.
It wasn't my car anyway.
In the English version, Rick threatens him. He doesn't beg for the machine. He says,
The bet's off.
And just shakes his fist at him?
no, he's holding him by the fist at that point. But it really changes the context of his expression. Because in the Japanese version, it's an intense expression of like passion.
Mhm.
And in the English version, it's a threatening stare. So, yeah, very strange. You know the jarring cut?
Angry place.
America is an angry place, I'm afraid.
Which jarring cut? There were several.
The one right in the middle of the flashback where Octoman shook his fist.
Yes.
That is cut from the English version. Which I think probably, you know, maybe better off without it because it was just kind of
I
jarring.
think that was actually a good decision.
But also, the final scene is cut as well, which means that Octoman doesn't appear in the show at all.
Oh.
And neither does Captain Falcon.
I didn't even think about that part.
So yeah, the English version completely cut the appearances of both Octoman and Captain Falcon, so they're not in this episode in the English dub.
Captain Falcon is in this episode. He gives us the seizure warning.
That's not in the English dub either, so...
Oh no, they just want you to get seizures?
Oh, they don't care.
Poor kids doesn't give a shit.
No, of course not. They did dub the Porygon episode, you know.
I didn't
It just
know.
didn't get released. They dubbed the Dratini one as well, which didn't get released in English. Well, that's it. That's all the changes in the dub. They're pretty significant, in my opinion.
They are. They completely changed the dynamic of a friend / coworker.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a shame because I quite liked Jack in the Japanese version. He's a bit of a dick, but he's a dick because he's self-centered, not because he doesn't care about people, or not because he's like deliberately mean.
Right.
He's not cruel.
Like that can be a fun kind of character, and it's something different than just good boy race man.
Yeah. And he actually does in the Japanese version. He actually does want to help Rick. He tries to take Rick's mind off of his lost love by taking him to a place to meet girls.
I guess that is what he was doing instead of just being like, "Let's race, but first."
Yeah, he I mean, it was a bad thing to do because he clearly wasn't ready to be meeting girls.
Why? Just because he only just was receiving the news that she was probably dead?
Yeah, and he's like, dude, she's been dead for 100 years. You need to get over it already.
I've been awake for 5 minutes. 5 minutes too long to be dwelling on this bitch.
I can tell you, though, that she is not dead.
I am not even a little bit surprised.
Yeah, she's in the show.
What is this future where just random people are alive forever?
Well, there's more to
is
it.
she a mutant?
There's more to it. But we'll get to that when we get to it. We'll come back and
Does
look
she
at
have
that.
a tube full of happy drugs?
She's no longer called Haruka.
She is Zoda.
Maybe. I'm not gonna spoil it. But anyway,
But I'm not gonna not spoil it.
let's talk about the legacy this show had, shall we?
Let's do it.
The next two F-Zero games, which are currently the last two F-Zero games, F-Zero GP Legend and F-Zero Climax, both for the Game Boy Advance, both take place in the continuity of this show rather than the continuity of the earlier games.
That's wild.
Yep, and they both feature Rick Wheeler and a few other characters from the show who weren't introduced yet in this episode.
Oh, Mr. EAD.
Well, yeah, he's in it too, but no, he's from F-Zero X. This show might be responsible for the death of the F-Zero franchise.
Oh no! Rick Wheeler killed Captain Falcon!
That may be its true legacy. This show didn't do well, especially in America. The two games based on it didn't do well. F-Zero GP Legend, I think, follows the story of the show and didn't do very well. F-Zero Climax is a sequel to the show, and seeing as the show never got completed in America, they decided to just not release it outside of Japan. Because it would have been weird.
Yeah.
Although I'm not sure if GP Legend follows the entire plot of the show, but if it does, then I feel like that would be enough for Climax to just be a sequel to that.
Yeah.
But
well,
anyway, there has not been another entry in the F-Zero series since F-Zero Climax in 2004, I think that came out.
we have to watch this show.
Yeah, you think we need to bring this show to light?
I think we need to find out what killed Captain Falcon. This is our murder mystery. This is the crime that we have been hired to solve.
Okay, let's do it. So join us next time for more. Well, not next time, but next time we cover this.
But also next time, because this is the only show we're watching ever again.
Is this where this podcast now becomes an F-Zero GP Legend podcast?
Yeah, this is an F-Zero Stan account.
I do love F-Zero. I guess we're done. I guess we don't really have anything else. Well, I mean, F-Zero's kind of still around, but it only shows up now as cameos in other things. Which is sad.
It's just enough to make us want more.
Yeah. Like, I love those. There's a lot of F-Zero stuff in Mario Kart. Not just the two courses, but, like, you can race in the Blue Falcon. Or a miniature version of the Blue Falcon, anyway. And you can put on... If you have a Captain Falcon amiibo, you can put on Captain Falcon's outfit on your Mii, which I do all the time.
I don't use my Mii. That's dumb.
I only use it when I'm playing online.
That's dumb.
I want to show off my Captain Falcon outfit. Captain Falcon is a huge part of Smash Brothers as well. I feel like he's probably more well known for Smash Brothers than he is for his own games at this point.
I think so too.
Since he's been absent from his own games for so long.
And his own game series dried up.
Yeah. It's been almost 20 years since the last F-Zero game. It's sad.
That's pretty sad. That's a lot of years.
Yeah. I think it might be, out of everybody in Smash Brothers, he might be the one who's gone the longest without a new game. Oh, no, I guess it's Duck Hunt Dog, isn't it?
Forgot about him.
Me too. But not counting Duck Hunt Dog.
What about Game & Watch?
Yeah, okay. I guess that's the end of our show.
Forever. This is the final episode because it was canceled by this F-Zero show.
Cancelled due to lack of interest.
We're now going to hell with Captain Falcon.
I want to know how bad the viewership was for 4Kids to cancel it.
Me too.
After just 15 episodes. Of
Can you
51.
not find those numbers anywhere?
No, I couldn't find anything. I'm assuming that they cancelled it due to low viewership, but I don't even know because I couldn't find anything about it.
They really tried to bury this show.
This show is very underdocumented. I had a hard time watching the dub because it's never been released, as far as I can tell, like on any home media. I found, I'm assuming from the quality of it, that what I was able to find was a VHS recording from the first time it aired.
Oh, I hope so.
So if the version of the dub theme song that I played in this episode was extremely low quality, it's because all I could find was that VHS rip.
You can hear a kid coughing throughout the whole thing. His mom is yelling at him in the background.
He's recording it with a camcorder pointed at the TV.
His little brother walks in front of it at one point.
It's shaky the whole time because he was holding it.
I would love that.
That's basically what we had a pirated VHS of Toy Story 2 that was basically that when I was a kid. Someone sitting in the theater holding a camcorder.
I love it.
And someone actually does get up and walk out like in the middle of it. And they don't come back.
Were they that unhappy with what they were seeing?
Maybe. It was during Jesse's song. So
Oh, maybe it's because they were crying.
they were like, damn it, I didn't come here to feel things.
I feel feelings I haven't felt since the 70s.
Thanks for joining us, everyone.
This has been our ranting about Sonic the Hedgehog podcast.
Well, I'm probably going to cut a lot of that out for Patreon clips, but
You have to pay for us to rant about Sonic the Hedgehog in your F-Zero podcast.
like they don't get it for free all the time anyway. When do I stop ranting about Sonic the Hedgehog?
I was gonna say, when they wake up and see you in the corner of their room, standing over them, whispering about Sonic, I didn't really understand the implication of that one.
I just meant if they watch more episodes of this show, which they're going to, right? So
Please?
click that bell.
Ding-a-ling.
So do a little subscribe on iTunes, wherever you're watching it. Spotify.
Maybe go our Patreon.
Yeah, go. Just got some money that you don't need lying around. You know, throw some money at us. Get some bonus content.
Find some quarters in your couch. You can give it to us.
Yeah.
We'll dance.
You want some coffee? Go buy us a coffee. Huh, little man? Go buy us some coffee. I'm starting to taunt the audience now.
Yeah, don't taunt them. It's the opposite of what we want.
I'm sorry, everybody. But for real, thanks for listening this far. If you enjoyed listening to our voices, which I assume you did if you're still here, please tell someone else to do it.
You should be like Rick Fastman and threaten people to like us.
Go look at what other episodes we've done. If you see any episodes about a show that you think someone you know might be interested in hearing, just spam them with it for days.
Better yet, make a trailer, 30 seconds of the very best clips to dupe them into watching.
Don't encourage people to steal our content. Please.
It's fair use.
Please do not make a truncated version of our podcast.
We only say about 3 funny things, and if you clip those, then we've got nothing.
Yeah, if you feel like donating some money to make things, better for us so we can afford more bills, you could go over to our Patreon at patreon.com/superbreakfastfriendsclub and kick a couple dollars our way, and you get some bonus stuff for it.
I had a really wild thought, and it might be a forbidden thought,
Okay.
and I'm scared to share it.
Let's hear it.
Like, if we actually made money off this podcast, and I could afford a better microphone, than this ding-a-ling.
Yeah, maybe we should set that up as a donation goal.
But then that's encouraging the loss of the first ever Xbox 360 headset.
That's true. So Mel's been recording up until now. Mel's been recording this show on an Xbox 360 headset from 2006 or 5.
Probably 6 or 7.
Yeah, something like that. It's surprisingly good for its age.
It surprisingly works for its age.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to mine.
It works better than the controller that I have to plug it into, which is tenuously attached to reality.
So if you want to help Mel replace that with something professional quality.
If you're tired of hearing me talk through a potato, you hear the muffled sounds of Spud, that's me.
If you don't want to do a subscribey payment, you could kick us some money at coffee and we'll appreciate that just as hard. Maybe harder. No, just as hard.
We'll appreciate it with all that we've got.
Yeah. Watch, this is my demonstration of us appreciating it. Like that.
I felt it. I feel appreciated, and that wasn't even aimed at me.
Wow. And that's
It's
just
powerful stuff.
that was just the residual appreciation coming off in a different direction. So
Pew, wee, wee, wee.
what else do we talk about at the end? Did you listen to this on YouTube? Thanks. Did you know that you can also listen to it on iTunes and Spotify and various other podcast hosting services? And if you listen to it on any of those, then just rotate the names that I just said until it applies to you.
Pick whichever one applies to you. We don't know it, and we're not picky. What about that place where sometimes videos of you playing video games appear live on television?
Do you mean twitch.tv/SkullPirateMike?
The very same.
My goodness, that's real.
I was there. I saw it with my own 2 eyes. They tried to tell me it was a mirage, but I touched it. I tasted her waters.
Well, I don't want to say every Wednesday, but every week when this episode comes out, I try and play the game that we looked at the show of in the episode. So I guess this week I'll be playing F-Zero. I haven't decided which one yet, though.
But they're on the Switch, right? So we could theoretically do a multiplay?
We could do a multiplayer F-Zero X or the original F-Zero, because they're both on the Switch.
Oh, I can think real loud and hard.
So here's what I'm thinking. If because Mel sometimes joins me for these streams and sometimes doesn't. If Mel is free to join me for the F-Zero one, we will play, I'm gonna say X, because that's the one I like better. We'll do a multiplayer of that. If Mel isn't free, I will maybe try and track down the Game Boy Advance, the one that's based on the show, and play that instead. But we'll see.
Even though we already talked about what game that was, when you said the Game Boy Advance, my brain automatically filled it in with like a pocket puzzle party game hosted by Captain Falcon.
All right.
Bye.
So 2 episodes in a row you've done that to me.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure that we were done, but I guess we are.